The #1 team to beat is Immortals. CLG is just like a stepping stone in my eyes.
What people don't realize is that we're actually a much stronger team than they anticipated.
CLG is a bit one-dimensional, I gotta be honest.
We don't play one-dimensionally, we play the best way to win the game. Whatever strategy we use, whether it's split pushing or team fighting or whatever, it will be the best thing to beat Team Liquid with.
Oh, no. There's definitely nothing I'd be afraid of for CLG.
We're just gonna try our hardest and play as a team and come out on top.
I don't really care how many games we drop. The end result is gonna be us winning.
Welcome to the North American Spring Playoffs as the 4 remaining teams face off in our semifinal showdowns with 2 spots in the finals waiting to be claimed. The playoff race heats up with 2 spots in the finals hanging in the balance this week. Now the crowds are hyped up and under Soraka's steadfast leadership stormed into the battle arena to cheer on our team today. Here's the Liquid heading into the studio just a short time ago and looking to continue their impressive playoff run. They're going up against our reigning champion CLG, who took a break out of their warm-ups to commemorate the day. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson. Today's analyst desk squatters are Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley, David Freak Turley, and for the pros perspective, we have the one, the only Kiwi Kid. So first of all, welcome, gentlemen. Good afternoon.
Yes,
since we had such a crazy 5-game series over in Europe to lead into this one, almost 2 o'clock already. First, I wanted to get you guys' initial and quick thoughts on that series that we just watched over in EU.
I've got to say, I'm really impressed with Origin. I think that Sven came up big, especially for the team. Protect the AD carry comps work so well for those guys. He's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, along with the fact that we had XPK sub in for a game, got that victory. So it's nice to see a team utilize the sub roster to great effect.
I mean, it's MVP XPK, right? Just like, look, just, you know, go 1-0, best record of any player,
right.
and then bench yourself because you know PoE can bring it home. I mean, just clairvoyant leadership, obviously.
Yep, there you have it.
He looked a little rusty, but I think it was just to show Power will just inspire him. Like, look, we're waiting with this team. Exactly. So
you're twice as good as I am. This one's free.
And he had a great game 5. So yeah.
Alrighty, well, as we have Kiwi Kid on the desk with us, he is the longest active LCS player and has started in every regular season game to date. So today, we want you at home to share your favorite Kiwi Kid moments with us. Hit us up on Twitter by writing @LulEsports with the hashtag NALCS, and we'll check out a few later in the day. Diving into today's action, though, let's start with a look at how the bracket is shaping up. TSM took down Cloud9, while on the other side of the bracket, Liquid made a clean sweep of Energy. Now, with dynamic seeding, the lowest seeded team, TSM, will advance and face our #1 seed, Immortals. That leaves Liquid to face off against our defending champions, CounterLogic Gaming, in today's semifinals. Now, while Cloud9 and Energy are eliminated, they did secure 10 championship points, which they'll be cashing in later for a shot to represent the North American LCS at Worlds this year. Now, zeroing in on today's series, though, CounterLogic Gaming, well, they are the defending champions, we know that much, and even though Immortals have been the talk of the league this split, CLG say they've got the teamwork to keep their championship title.
At the beginning of the season, everyone kind of just thought that we weren't going to be that good of a team because some of our star players left. Honestly, if anything, we were the same, if not better, with more room to grow because of how we look to improve our team. When you play a team game, every single player on your team is important. People will only see the score lines, or they'll see like the big flashing plays, but they won't really see what goes on every minute of the game that requires all the setup for us to win.
One of the mindset that I like to have before going into game is I tell myself that I don't need to carry to win the game.
Gold card finds Keith. He's knocked down and locked down.
I've always been trying to think of what can I do to help my team? What can I do to work better with my team? Because it's not a 1v1 game. It's not I want to 1v1 their top laner and win. I love having those 1v1 fights. I love winning those. But what I love even more than that is winning. And that's as a team. That's not as an individual. It all starts with having a common goal. and having everyone understand what it takes to win.
Even though we're defending champions, we're going to take step by step, so we're going to focus on semifinals.
I think everyone's gonna say we're one-dimensional, but I think split pushing is a lot harder than just grouping up and team fighting. They just see us split pushing and assume that like that's the only thing we're doing, but a lot of times we're using that to set up for something else.
Darshan in the middle of the pit. This could be a slaughter. CLG chasing down.
I'm pretty confident we can beat Team Liquid, especially if our next 3 days of training before this go well. We're just going to do everything we can to make sure we can win.
It's the next 3 days practice, as Darshan said. We're going to like prepare really hard versus Team Liquid, and then just be ready to crush them.
Well, now with the players' thoughts in mind, let's jump into today's semifinal showdown. Counter Logic Gaming versus Team Liquid. For CLG, we've speculated throughout the year so far and talked about whether or not they are going to be able to get through Immortals, but now they find themselves in a challenge that wasn't immediately obvious. They're going to have to face off against Team Liquid, who in this playoff run has looked quite dominant.
Yeah, I mean, I think Liquid really surprised a lot of people with just how good they looked against NRG. They surprised me. You know, they had been looking strong towards the end of the split, but they came out looking completely dominant. Dardoch was a monster, and Piglet and Matt, you can't say enough about them.
Right, let's talk about Piglet and Matt. I mean, Kiwi, you obviously have experience playing against this duo lane. You know, points of strength and weaknesses for these guys.
These guys are probably the most solid duo in LCS right now. I think their laning phase is really good, and they know when to play safe when Dardoch wants to help out lower top. Like, I think the communication is really strong as a team, and that actually really helps the bottom lane because they know what they need to do. And sometimes it might seem like they're playing passive, but they have a plan.
We see some statistics comparisons between Stixxay and Piglet. I mean, Freak, we've looked at Piglet as being a rock and just a picture of consistency through this season, even when they were going through the roster swaps.
Exactly. Even when Liquid sucked in the first half of the year, like Piglet was still showing up as a clearly dominant player. And keep in mind, like Piglet's team has done objectively worse than Stixxay's team. Stixxay's scores are worse almost down the line, despite getting more wins overall. And this is what happens when you have a rookie player, right? Like he has to learn more about the game. He's mechanically sound. He plays well. In fact, his laning stats are still good. He's a lane dominant player, even with being a rookie. Some of that you can attribute to just being with Aframu, who's maybe the best support in NA, but just the fact that, look, he's said it, his teammates have said it, Stixxay has a lot of things to learn, which means he's going to have random downtimes where he's not in the right place at the right time. Whereas Piglet, consistently amazing.
Right, so that's an area in which Team Liquid might have the edge in the bottom lane. Let's hop up to the top lane, though, where it might swing the other way. We've got Darshan going up against Lorlo. Lorlo struggled a little bit against Impact, even with their pretty dominating wins over Energy.
Yeah, I think that Lorlo is really solid, but when we look at how Impact played against him, Impact was massively ahead in the final 2 games. You know, he was up double his CS on Gnar. He was up 2 to 3 levels both those games, usually with CS advantage. And when you have a player like Darshan who likes to play those snowball carry type champions, if you get that kind of lead, the game can be over.
Right, I think then the question, though, is how the meta shift is going to affect both of these players. As has been discovered, we've got a lot more tank prevalence in the top lane. Fiora's kind of fallen to the wayside. I mean, Jax, I guess, is still on the table because you never would have considered him to be on the table.
Yeah, so certainly Darshan's unique, but even with Jax, like that was Titanic Hydra Jax, which got nerfed. All right, in the last little while, Sterix Gage got nerfed sometime in the last month and a half as well, and so Darshan, while he wants to be this super hardcore top lane split pusher, we're kind of running out of like really strong top lane split pushers. And it sort of begs the question, like if you want to play this style, you have to pick the best champions available for the style. And the best champions aren't as good anymore. Like Gangplank's still around, Ryze is around, but doesn't kill turrets that well. We've actually seen Fiora played a little bit, like one game in the last couple of weeks. Like there are tools, just I wonder how sharp those tools are. Whereas Lorlo's like happy to play Echo every single game and do really well on it.
Right, so then, Kiwi, talk to me a bit about the stylistic mismatch that we have between these teams. It's been mentioned, and we even heard it in the opening video. The CLG players themselves know that there's this stigma of being a one-dimensional team, the 1-3-1 split push against the likes of Team Liquid, who has very much come together and been a team-fighting team. What do you perceive as being the major differences between them?
Yeah, you never really know it, Darshan. I'd say he's probably the X factor between not only CLG, but the whole matchup itself. It's really up to what he wants to play. Like I think CLG really plays around Darshan, and he's really prideful. He prides himself on just being able to play everything, not just split pushers. So I think it kind of hurts him when we just say he can only split push, or whenever people say that. So I'm actually thinking they might start out kind of standardish, you know, the kind of meta that's the tank support, tank top, and like, you know, a damaged jungler. But if they ever lose, I'm pretty sure he's going to pull out something crazy, or maybe it's just going to be Ryze or something.
I mean, given the fact that we've pinpointed an area of, or we've pinpointed mismatches for both of these teams, Azale, how do you see the early games playing out? Are we expecting lane swaps or standard lanes? Because it seems like both teams would like standard lanes, but for different lanes.
Yeah. I think that if you're TL, you're happy to go into that 2v2. And I think if you're Darshan, you're pretty happy to go into the 1v1 as well, you know, try to get the advantage in that lane. So I think that both teams are very confident. I could see it going either way. And the thing with CLG to note is that this is not a bot lane that's going to get smashed. They're fine playing safe. You know, Afro can roam. We could see Stixxay on a champion like Ezreal, where he knows how to play safe, to farm up. And even if they lose a lane a little bit, if they can get advantages on the other side of the map, it's going to be fine.
All right, and then, of course, we haven't talked about the jungle at all, Freak, but Dardoch up against Moon, I mean, that was one of the biggest discrepancies, right? But then you pull in Xmithie, and we heard Scar say it on the desk last week that he thinks Xmithie is criminally underrated as a player and as a jungler. I mean, I like to think that in this matchup, we're going to see a much closer jungle matchup, and a lot of the game could hinge on the way that these two guys match up.
Yeah, I think there's no chance this game looks like what Energy TL did. Like, Xmithie is leagues above Moon, and I think Xmithie is very close to Dardoch in terms of individual skill. They fulfill somewhat different purposes. Like, they both farm a lot, they both get a whole lot of gold, but like, Dardoch wants to like actually just 1v1 4 people in a row by just being Lee Sin and buying a Ravenous Hydra. But Xmithie,
and I'm okay with that.
I mean, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch that.
Dustblade first, please.
So go for it. We'd love to watch all the footage afterwards. But yeah, Xmithie, like, he's a big ward bot. Like, he's gonna play to a certain side of the map if he has to. Like, he does a lot, and Dardoch gives him a lot of respect as well. There's actually a great interview the Score did with both of them. It's like a minute and a half long, with Dardoch just says like, yeah, Xmithie does a whole lot of really good things. He's really smart. He's like the only jungler that plays this way. But I'm gonna smash him much better than him overall. Yeah. And like that's his line is Dardoch. He's kind of talking about Xmithie. He's good, but I'm gonna smash him. Yeah. And I think while there's a small difference in skill, like, it's close.
Right, both teams definitely gonna be coming in with a lot of confidence. Let's close out the lane since we've talked about them all. Real quick hit on the mid laners. We have Huhi versus Phoenix. Yep. Phoenix we've touted as being this like incredible team fight mid laner. He just shows up, he does his job, he's got huge statistics. Huhi seems to be a little bit more hit or miss. Kiwi, what's your opinion on him as a player specifically?
On Huhi, he still has, I think, a lot to prove. He does pretty well sometimes, but most of the time, I don't think he puts much like the beam on him.
Right.
He just kind of like passes by, but no, I don't think he's gonna get run over. But Phoenix, man, he's just too good.
Yeah, I mean, the odds are maybe set against him in the mid lane, which means he does have a lot to prove if CLG is going to move on to the finals and defend their title. Moment of truth here, fellas. I got to ask you, which of these two teams is moving on to the finals? And Kiwi, I'm going to start with you.
TL. Most likely. But I think it's going to be close.
You going to give me games? What are we thinking here?
TL.
With 3-2, 3-1, 3-2. All right, we're going to 5 games. That's what I like to hear. All right.
Yeah,
what about you?
I actually was agonizing over this, who I thought was going to win. I mean, I think it's exceptionally close. I think it's going to be CLG 3-2.
Okay.
I think it could go either way, but I really do have faith in Afromu. I have faith in Darshan, and I think Xmithie is more than solid enough to be up to the task.
All right, the tiebreaker, Freak, give it to me.
Yeah, I think it's Liquid. I think Liquid are moderate to clear favorites. I'll say 3-1 is the number here. To me, I need to get surprised by what Darshan can do.
Right.
Like, I want to know what's in the lab for the last 3.5 weeks, like what's coming out here. But like, unless there's something like really spicy, really special, I just feel like Lorlo withstands, and then just like everyone else is just too good.
Right. Well, I know Kiwi agrees with you, said that he'll be the X factor in this game. There you have it, the thoughts from the gentleman here at the desk. We're going to kick it over to our casters to get the games underway.